Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad to see so many of you here. We're going to just take another minute or so to let folks get in the room and get audio and get set up. Welcome, welcome.
That they can't see our face.
I don't give a shit if they don't see our face. Our name is up there, but
If folks can mute themselves as you enter, that would be great, just so that we don't talk over each other. That would be helpful. Thank you. And for those of you just connecting, welcome. We'll get started in just a few minutes. We're going to give a little extra time for folks to get into the space and get audio connected. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Welcome. For those of you who are just joining, we're just giving a few extra minutes for folks to get in the room.
Oh, there's a ton that are not.
Hi, welcome. If folks can mute yourselves upon entry, be helpful. Just so that we're not all talking over each other. Thank you. Great. And we're just giving a few extra minutes, as I said. Thanks for joining us. Wonderful. Again, welcome to the Cowell and Stevenson family, friends, and supporters gathering this evening for us. So we are just waiting for a few more folks to get logged in and settled in. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Hi, welcome. For those of you who are just joining, we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. We want to make sure everyone has a chance to get logged in. Hi there, folks. For those just joining, we'll just get started in just another minute or so. We want to give folks a chance to get logged in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. Welcome, welcome again. Appreciate everyone's patience. Promise we'll get started shortly. Just making sure everyone has a chance to get logged in. Welcome. All right, it's 6:05, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as folks join us, we'll fill them in as we go along. But again, our warmest welcome. Thank you all for joining us on the Zoom screen here for us Tuesday evening for our Cowell and Stevenson Colleges new student, family, friends, supporter, guardian. Welcome. All of you that are here as supporters of our students. We're so thrilled to have you all with us this evening. We're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm joined by some of my amazing colleagues here at Cowell and Stevenson Colleges. And we are a wealth of knowledge and information that we'd like to share with all of you. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to organize this evening's conversation. But first, we'll start with our introductions. So, hello and welcome. My name is Sarah Woodside Burry. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm the Senior Director of College Student Life for both Cowell and Stevenson Colleges, which means that I oversee everything that happens for our students outside of the classroom. So, where they live, where they eat, how they get engaged outside of the classroom, those are all under my purview. And I'm joined by, like I said, a group of my amazing colleagues, and I'm going to popcorn around to have them introduce themselves. So, to start, I'll have one of my co-leads. I get to co-lead these two colleges with these two amazing provosts. So, Matt, why don't you start? And then Alan, if you can introduce yourself. Thank you.
Super. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name's Matt O'Hara. I'm a professor in the history department, and I've been at UCSC since 2006 now, so quite a while. And since 2020, I've been provost at Stevenson College. And so, as Sarah was mentioning, we co-lead the college, and my job is to oversee the academic side of things. So, in the first year, that primarily means your students' core class. So at Stevenson, they'll be taking Stevenson 1 in the fall and Stevenson 2, which is the second quarter of the core class. I also work with our advising staff. So UCSC has a two-tiered advising structure. We have academic advisors at the colleges, and I can talk more about their role. And then there are also academic advisors in actual departments. So in the majors that your students will join over the next year or so. And so I work with the advisors at Stevenson. And then another thing that provosts do, and I'll just kind of turn it over to some of my colleagues, is try to make academic connections for your students across campus, with speakers, with alums, with faculty who might be looking for things like research assistants. So happy to chat with all of you tonight and at least put a face to the name and let you know that we're here to answer questions, not just tonight, but if you have follow-up questions by email and that sort of thing. So welcome, everyone. And I'll pass it to Alan at this point.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Christie. I'm also a professor in the history department, and I've been the Cowell provost since 2016, so I'm entering my 9th year of doing the job at Cowell. I also was hired at UC Santa Cruz, my first job out of graduate school in 1995. So I'm a lifer here, and have loved being at UC Santa Cruz. It has been my dream job, and from the first to this moment, I intend to retire from here someday in the future. So Matt pretty much laid out the basics of what a provost does. I will add only that we also have funds that we can disperse to students for either academic emergencies if students can't afford books for classes or things like that. We have funds for scholarships, research awards, prize money for essays, illustrations, poetry, that kind of thing. So we support students in all kinds of ways on the academic side. And our job for Matt and me begins with welcoming them onto campus and then handing them their diploma and shaking their hands when they're done. So we're here for them at the very beginning and at the very end, and our job is to get them to that successful end. I'm going to leave it there. We have more that we can talk about what we do if you have any questions in particular, but I'm going to pass it back to Sarah for her to pass it on to her colleagues on the housing and residential life side.
Thank you, Matt and Alan. And so I'll have Leanna introduce herself next, and then Leanna, you can pass it along to the rest of our team. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Hello, good morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever it is for everyone. My name is Leanna Willis. I go by she, they pronouns. I am the Associate Director for Cal and Stevenson Colleges. And kind of like Kara mentioned, being in charge of everything outside of the classroom, that's a lot of stuff. And that's too big of a job for just one person. And so Sarah, I, and the amazing team that you see here get to all collaborate together to make all of those things happen for your students. I've been here for 2 years now, coming up onto my third, and so exciting. I'm also not a native Californian, which is very, very rare around these parts. And so ask me about the East Coast because I know all about those things, including the mysterious things we call snow. And so I'm going to pass it over to Santos.
Thanks so much, Leanna. Hola, hola, buenas tardes. Hello, good evening. My name is Santos. I use all pronouns. I am the Assistant Director of Residential Education here for Cowell and Stevenson. And so I assist primarily in the development and education of all of our residential students. I work directly with, we call them coordinators for residential education, who work with our resident assistants to then provide great service, resource support, and educational opportunities to those that live in our halls and in our apartments. I am from California. I am an alumni of the CSU system, but very happy to work for Banana Slug Nation and very grateful for all of the support we have in this room. Very awesome. I will pass it over to Christina.
Thank you, Santos. Hello, everybody. Bienvenidos, welcome, bienvenidas, bienvenides. My name is Christina Otis. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I am the college programs coordinator for Stevenson College. I work very closely with our sibling pair college, Cowell College, and Cowell College also has a college programs coordinator, Paula Lopez. Is not with us tonight, but she is very present and working behind the scenes. And so the college programs coordinator role at each of the colleges is one where we are here to create programs for your students. So to support their growth in and outside of the classroom with fun programs, programs that help them meet other people, programs that hopefully open their minds to new cultures, to new ideas that affirm them in their identities, that learn about new identities, that engage topics of social justice. We do that with our wonderful student staff programs team. And each year we have a team of student staff who really have their ear to the ground and are trying to be very responsive to the students in the Cowell and Stevenson communities to create those programs. And so we as pro staff, professional staff, support them and work alongside them to do these programs for your students. And we work very collaboratively also with, for example, some of the wonderful people you've just now heard from. We'll sometimes collaborate with the provost office. For example, our one of our students is doing a drive to have the Stevenson core course books, the used ones that folks before used. She has a drive that she's collecting those so that students that are going to need that for their core course can check those out. We work with the Res Life staff very much so, super excited about our partnership with the Res Life team to be doing meaningful programming. And we have a very supportive staff amongst us, which I think is very important for y'all to know that we support each other. We're open to learning together. And that makes for, we prioritize our health too, so we can be healthy for our students who are really who we want to be here for. So I just wanted to let you know, I'm so happy you're here tonight. I'm excited. I'm also a Banana Slug, 1992, Porter College. And I'm a mama also of a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. So I feel y'all. I feel y'all. So reach out for anything. Glad you're here. Thank you. I will pass it back to Sarah.
Thank you all. And we are lucky enough to be joined by another long-term banana slug tonight. Gavi Alanis. Gavi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Hello, I'm just dropping in to listen in on the questions asked. And I've been working on campus for many years. I'm also an alumna. And I work at the front desk of the housing office at Cal and Stevenson. So I will be someone your students will see often. And they come with a lot of questions about where to find something, where to go, and if they get locked out of the rooms, they'll come see us as well. Or if they want to make an appointment to meet with some of the residential staff or figure out who their RAs are. So we're pretty much one of the first stops. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of the new students. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. And again, our warmest welcome to all of you. Congratulations to you and your student for becoming a proud banana slug. As you may have noticed, we are recording this session. And the reason why we do that is because we might have lots of great things that we want to impart to you, but it goes pretty quickly in our short time together. And so we don't want you to have to worry about writing anything down. We record this session, we post it on our website afterwards. We also post a ton of the resources and all of the resources actually that we'll be talking about, the websites, the links, all of that. We'll be posting that on our website. We have a family page dedicated to all of you and to this session. So again, right after this, we will make sure to post all of this information, our contact information, our video, and all of the resources that we referenced this evening. So don't worry about writing it all down. We'll make sure to get that out as quickly as possible. And then behind the scenes is our amazing Gustavo Nolasco. Thank you, Gustavo. He's going to be helping us behind the scenes this evening and is going to be posting already, as you can see in the chat, all of the different resources that we're talking about, our contact information, and everything that we want to impart to you. So thank you, Gustavo, for all of your efforts. And so that the way that we're going to do this evening, not only are we recording it, but we've also are just going to be sharing a little bit about what you can expect as your new student joins us here at UCSC. And the way that we want to do that is just hearing from all of you. What are your questions? What things are you wondering about? What interests do you have? What needs do you have? And the way that we're going to ask you to do that is to use the chat. So if you can use the chat feature and just start chatting away. Any questions that you have, no question is a silly question. We're happy to answer to the best of our abilities. And so if you even now, you can just start populating the chat with any of your questions. Like you heard from our introductions, we have a number of staff here that sort of span all of the areas of our college and can address everything from what does move-in look like to what is it like living in the residence halls to what is the first core course like that all of our students affiliated with our colleges will be taking. So any question, we're open to answering. And if you have no questions, we'll just start talking about all the great things that we have to offer and that we've been busy planning. But great, I'm already seeing some of the questions in the chat. So we'll start addressing those. So thank you. And go ahead, just keep throwing them in there and we'll try to take them one by one. If we don't get your question answered this evening, not to worry. We capture all of that data. And like I said, our website will populate all of that information. And you've been shared our email addresses. Those will also be on our website. They are on our website. So if you want to reach out to any of us, you can. So great. The first question is a fun one because we've been really busy planning all the great activities for Welcome Week and beyond. So the first question, Christina, I'm going to ask you to start to address, which is what are the activities the first weekend after move-in? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so the students, our student staff team are about to arrive this Tuesday. They're coming and they participate in a 3-week kind of leadership development with other the RAs, also the resident advisors, and they're getting ready for you. They're getting ready for your students to come. And so from the time move-in happens at Stevenson and Cowell, we have a number of events. We have for the students, those very first early or late afternoon, early evenings on that Friday and Saturday. We have some social events in the Stevenson Event Center. We have what we call Games, Music, Social Night. One of those nights is kind of it's kind of choose your adventure. We have tables set up, we have snacks, we have games, we have karaoke, and our student staff are there to help welcome the new students, talk with them, answer any of their questions, just socialize informally. The second night, we're doing the same thing, but it's kind of a murder mystery format, so a little bit more formalized. We have every night, we have something every day and every night before the first day of classes. We have our college welcome on Sunday for both Stevenson College and Cowell College. We do a big welcome where many of the people you're seeing here from our professional staff, as well as other student leaders, give a welcome to all of we encourage all of our students to come give a welcome to the students. Let them know kind of who we all are, and then we have a big resource fair so that the students can engage a little bit more in an informal format with not only the people at our colleges, but some campus partners, a lot of the ethnic resource centers, our SHOP program, student health outreach program, our mental health services. We try and get as many resources there, and we incentivize it. We have a little raffle at the end, and everyone has to go to the tables, each of the tables, and so yeah, and then we have, oh, I feel like I'm just babbling on. We have something every night. We also have things that are, we have things that are being done across the whole campus. As you know, there's 10 colleges. And so we're encouraging our students to participate in some of those things as well. There will be a campus camp out on the East Field with s'mores and hot chocolate and some getting to know you activities. Our colleges, Stevenson and Cowell, are going to be doing a Cowell and Stevenson Take You to the Stars, kind of a pre-event to gather the new students that are living at Cowell and Stevenson and encourage them to have some getting to know each other activities, some fun college swag for them to get, and then encourage them to go down to the East Field. Just another thing too, just to note, we have a great partner in a group an organization, an office at our UCSC called the Cove, and the Cove is dedicated to substance-free partying and substance-free living, and even students who are in recovery. And it's a wonderful resource that they end up partnering with us a lot to sponsor things like bonfires throughout the year and different kinds of fun and educational events. So yeah, those are some of the things. And you can look on our websites at Cowell and Stevenson. We are busy updating the Cowell and Stevenson events calendar. And we hope to really have all of that updated for the things that are happening locally at our colleges. But I'm also adding on there things that will be happening more campus-wide, like career fairs for your students or, different resource fairs that are happening all across campus and fun events for them as well. So I hope that answers your questions. If not, please email me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Christina. I really appreciate your efforts in trying to answer that. And I think some of the questions too, I'll start just a little bit big picture and then we'll get it zero in on some of these other questions that are being asked. But there's some questions around how this university is organized. And Christina was doing a great job of talking about what's college specific versus what's happening campus wide. And we like to always say that your student made the best choice in coming to UC Santa Cruz because you get the best of both worlds. Your student gets to be a part of these small residential living and learning environments that are the colleges, while also getting the benefits of a Research One public institution that is the UC, that is UC Santa Cruz. And so we do things like Move In and Welcome Week and all those orientation events that Christina was just talking about are done by college. We like to start sort of smaller so that they're getting to know 450 or so new students all at once instead of the 4,000, right, that are new entering students, right? So we do it in these sort of smaller units at the colleges. It's where they live. It's where they have their first quarter of their first class, their core course happens during that first year with the folks in their college. Their advising team is based at the college. All of this group of staff are based here at the college, and we support your student all the way from the beginning till when they graduate UCSC. And they get the benefit of what's happening on the rest of campus, meaning their departments, their majors, all of our central resources and support like financial aid or our ethnic resource centers, right? All of those are more campus-wide and support all of our students as well. So again, they get the best of both worlds. Their diploma comes from UC Santa Cruz, but they are also very much affiliated and aligned with their college. Students from every major go to all the colleges. So we have students represented from all the different majors, and it doesn't matter what your major is. You're going to be affiliated with one of the colleges, as well as getting the benefit of digging into whatever major you do choose. So that addresses a few of the questions early on around sort of how that all works. But we're going to back up a little bit because there's a lot of questions in here about move-in day and what to expect about move-in day, and what can we expect? What about the laundry rooms? What about the room dimensions? What about all those specifics? So Leanna, can you give us a little bit of a sense of that? And then Santos, I'll have you fill in a little bit more around that, and maybe even some more of the questions that are related to sort of the resident assistance and working with student leaders, et cetera. So go ahead, Leanna, let's get started with move in first.
Absolutely. So I think someone said, what is move-in like? And I was like, it is like a giant puzzle. We have just about 8,000 students across campus to move in over our short amount of move-in days. And so it's moving swiftly and things are happening, and we are so, so excited to be in welcoming everyone at the same time. But for Calvin Stevenson specifically, our move-in starts at lot 104, which is the East Remote lot. So everybody is going to get there, and that's where your student will get their keys. They're usually going to get some sort of like class gift that the university has for them, so everybody has a similar experience. You'll get to meet some of us because we'll be staffing those tables, and you might get to meet some of our leadership team as well. Typically, like sometimes the provost will be out there, various professors, our vice chancellor, sometimes the chancellor comes out. So it all depends on who you get to see that day. And then from there, you'll drive all the way up to where Calvin Stevenson is. And depending on where you are, there'll be a place for you to pull up and unload. Our unloading times are about 15 minutes per car. You'll unload your car really, really quickly. Then you'll move your car over to one of our long-term lots. And then you can spend some time chilling with your student, getting to know them, setting up the space, potentially getting to meet their roommate, meeting some of the staff. And I know it feels like 15 minutes isn't a lot and it's a rush, but like I said, we have thousands of folks to move in. And so we want to keep those cars moving swiftly, so that folks can continue to get those opportunities. And then each and every college is also having kind of like a move-in day welcome. So for us, we're going to be at the Cal Provost House with both of our provosts are going to be there on various days, and potentially some of the other core course professors, so that you as a family can take some time to kind of like say goodbye, reconnect, and loop in with some of the folks who are going to be with your students for a bit. And I think that's it. Oh, the other thing that I want to mention is, so after moving is over, those first nights, just like Christina mentioned, we'll have some activities for students to do, so you won't be kind of like spending your first night not knowing what's going on. There'll be plenty of ways for you to connect with your roommates, with your staff. And then I'm going to turn it over to Santos to talk a little bit about our first floor meetings and our community agreements and other things we do to make sure that students are joining our community and are mindful of our community rules and agreements for one another.
Yes, thank you, Leanna. This chat is just going off, and I'm trying to like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So, in terms of some of the introductory things that your student can anticipate when they arrive, is they're going to meet a bunch of resident assistants. The resident assistants help us with move-in, as Leanna was speaking to, but particularly the resident assistants will host what's called a first community meeting. The first community meeting is going to be held this year on September 23rd, which is my 32nd birthday. How exciting! Libras, where are you? But they have a hosted meeting. We ask that all students attend those meetings. They are required or mandatory. And that is where not only do the students learn about some of our code of conduct, the handbook, the dean of students office, that kind of stuff. But they'll also learn about resources in terms of safety and security. And then the resident assistants work really hard with our coordinators to ensure that there's also connective activities at those meetings. And so students will have a chance to be super awkward together. They'll have a chance to get to know each other in a different manner. And then after that, we typically have our resident assistant take their whole floor to one of the events that Christina or Paola are hosting to get them integrated across Cowell and Stevenson colleges. There's a couple questions in the chat about must-haves for like what to bring, storage of items, that kind of stuff. I would say I linked in the chat a resource that we have, like a what to bring page specifically for folks who are living in a dorm style room. What I would say, number one for anybody that's going to live with us, that's on this call, which is most of you, I don't know why I said that, is connect with the people that you're going to live with. I cannot tell you, I've been working in residential life for too many years to tell you. There are so many times where families are so excited and they come in and we have 4 refrigerators, we have 4 microwaves, we have so much stuff that it doesn't actually fit in the space anymore. And so having your student go onto their housing portal, connect with their roommates to say, hey, my parents are so excited they bought me a 17-piece set. You don't need to bring anything. Or begin a conversation around what is going to be shared and what is not going to be shared. I would say that is my number 1 tip. The second thing is, and this may be a little controversial, parents or people who are supporting, is bringing things that are going to encourage the students to leave their room. We have so many amazing and engaging opportunities across our colleges and across our campus that sometimes our supporters make the room so comfortable that the student doesn't want to leave. And so we accept and we love introverts, we accept and we love extroverts and ambiverts, and we really, specifically in the first 6 weeks, we really encourage our students to get out of their space and to have a good time. The final thing I'll say, in terms, this surfboard question is very specific. And so I answered in the chat, someone asked about a surfboard. They can bring surfboards, that's great. We have a lot of student surfers, especially in Cowell and Stevenson, because of our proximity. We're kind of like the closest to the base of campus, except for Rachel Carson and Oaks. But they're allowed to store them outside as well. So in Cowell College, in the res halls, we have a lot of balconies, and students will store their surfboards out on the balconies. We just need to make sure that those are secure. And so safety and security are the top for us. So as long as they're secure, they're not going to fall off balconies and they're not going to be taken. Those are our 2 top priorities. I'm going to keep answering some questions in the chat, and I'm sure I'm going to get back on the mic soon, but I'll pass it back over to Sarah.
Thank you both. And yeah, thank you for the chat continuing. And again, we're trying to answer some questions in the chat as well as audioly. So thank you. So I want to switch over to, there have been a couple of questions about the core course as well as wait list. I know Alan and has been answering some of those questions as well in the chat, but Matt and Alan, can you talk a little bit about classes and what to expect there, particularly around core? And if they're not getting into their classes, what does a wait list mean? Some of those kinds of questions that have been coming through.
Sure, I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Alan. I'm really happy that people are asking about the core class because it's an important part of first year students' experience on campus. And Christina was talking about having a student who's 19, and I have one of my kids is a senior in college, and one just started college, one in a UC and one not. So I also am aware of the experience of getting someone started in school and what that's like, and how important the questions about the activities of the first 3 or 4 days. It's really a key time for people, as Santos was saying, to get out and start meeting people and making those connections. And I would say one of the great things about Santa Cruz is the opportunity students have in their core class to also make connections with other students, both within the small section that they're in. So, you're talking about sections of 25, 27 students, somewhere in that range. So it facilitates that. But also it is a core class. So everyone at Cal will be reading the same texts, and they will be reading them in the same order each week and doing some of the same assignments and going to some of the same larger lectures. Same goes at Stevenson. And so it's a real nice way to know that, and the classes are held locally at the colleges as well. So as you're walking around, students are going to see other students on their floor with the same book, and they'll know that they're reading Sartre, or they're going to be reading, the Bhagavad Gita or Gilgamesh or what have you, the different texts that they might be reading. And it's a nice way to make connections. So that's part of what's going on in the core class. And Alan might talk a little bit about that, and then also some of the other courses that are offered in the colleges. So Sarah was talking about the nice, I think about as sort of a sweet spot in terms of the size of a campus like UCSC, that it does combine a big research university, but also the way that the colleges break it down so that it's easier to, I think, to start making, both academic and social connections with other students, but also with faculty and your advisors. And that's also true in terms of the curriculum that we offer at the colleges. So we won't be, for the most part, we're not teaching physics or lots of history courses or biology in the colleges. Instead, we do a little bit of that sometimes, but instead we're offering these foundational courses like core, and then other supplemental ones that, again, help students think about things like career choices, make connections with alumni who might be in certain fields aligned with their own. And Alan, they have got a great curriculum of supplemental courses over at Cal that he might talk about as well. So I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, I would only add on the core course, all freshmen are taking, and as Matt said, they're all in sections of 25 to 27. And so a typical experience in the first quarter for many first-year students is that you have a small course in your core course where the teacher knows you, you know the teacher, you know each other. And then you might be in a class, say an early intro to psych or econ or computer science is going to have 200 to 400 people. And so it's the core course is really meant to be a course in which we are giving students a sort of foundational training in what it means to do university level work. What is university level reading in different genres? What does critical thinking mean in general, and how can that be a basis for doing critical thinking in different disciplines, each of which is going to have their own specific approaches? How can students become really the agents of their own education by understanding what their education is about and how they can plan for a full range of courses, from the majors that they declare and take to the elective courses that fulfill the general education requirements. And so the core course really is a great course for students to be in, to get used to what it means to do university level work with a group of instructors who are really experienced at this kind of thing. I think students are sometimes wondering, I came here to be a human bio major, and why am I sitting in this course here in the first quarter? And by the end of the quarter, they're often quite happy with what they've had in that classroom, getting to know other students and really getting a strong sense of what it means to be doing the work here. So I think it's a great course. We do also have elective courses, as Matt was saying. These courses don't graduate you in a major, but students will have to both finish a major, and they will have to have a variety of courses that are fulfilling general education requirements. And at the colleges, we have these elective courses that help fulfill those things. And the general theme at the colleges is that we're trying to give students courses that the disciplines won't, but that will prepare them for life. And so we have, the theme of the courses at Cal College is preparing students for civic engagement. And we have a course that I think every parent here wants the student to take, and it doesn't matter whether a Cal, Stevenson, or any other college student, a course on personal finance, taught by somebody who spent decades, working in personal finance and investment, somebody who spent decades working in that field and has developed a really impactful class. It's so you can read about it. The class, by the way, in the UCSC, I think it's Tuesday Newsday has a report about it. But it's been so effective that the University of California Office of the President is thinking about making it a required class for certain students across the entire UC system. That's coming out of Cal College. So that's the kind of class we have. We have a class on public speaking, which many 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds are very nervous about. And yet a lot of careers that they want to go into are careers in which they're going to have to learn how to be effective communicators orally, not just in writing. We have a class that's a corollary to that, which we call public listening, which is oral history. How do you do interviews? How do you engage in conversation with other people and learn important things out of that? We have a Design Your Own Life design class that is generated by the Design Your Life lab at Stanford University, from which we have a graduate who designed a class for us. So those are the kinds of classes that they'll get here. And very often they're the kind of class that's really focused on helping the student figure out what they're trying to do in college and how are they going to get into a career in the future. I know that Stevenson has a great class that brings in alumni from all walks of life and helps the students understand how the alumni got into those kinds of roles. So, look, we're history professors, and history is not the most popular major in class on the campus for reasons that completely escape me, because I do think it's the best major. But lots of students who aren't history majors take history classes. So every major is going to serve people like that. But I'm really proud of the curriculum that the colleges have.
Thank you both. And I'm seeing one other relevant question here that just came in that I'm hoping, I know you already alluded to advising, but it's sort of an advising slash course related question around who helps students plan out their courses so that they meet the requirements for graduation, and how does that work? So can the two of you or one of you address a little bit about that and our fantastic advising team?
Sure. Let me go ahead and do this. Matt had alluded to it earlier, so let me see if I add anything different. Students, as he said, have a two-tier advising system. They first have the colleges, the advisors in the colleges, and then later when they declare a major, they're going to have advisors in the major. The advisors in the major are helping the students understand what classes they need to get in which order in order to graduate from the major. And so the major advisors are going to do a major plan with the students to make sure that they're going to be able to complete the major. The college advisors are meant to help them get into the university, fulfill all the broader requirements to make sure that they can graduate. If a student is deciding that they've declared a major that they actually don't want to do, they actually want to switch to another major somewhere, the college advisors are there to help them make that transition to another major. So the college's advisors help the students with their general plan to help them get all the way to graduation, and the major advisors will help them navigate the individual major that they have chosen. Do you have anything to add to that, Matt?
No, just other than I would encourage your students to take advantage of the advisors. They're really excellent. And as Alan was saying about the core instructors, they're experienced. And so they will help your students. I think there were some questions about enrollment in upcoming quarters and that sort of thing. And while the advisors will put on sessions to prepare students for winter enrollment and then spring enrollment, it's just a good idea for your students, if they're so inclined, to reach out, schedule an appointment. I think Gustavo or somebody might be putting the websites of the Stevenson and Cal advisors in the chat. If not, I can drop that in there as well. And I guess as long as I'm on that subject, I would just say as a professor and as a provost, if there's one thing I would say to encourage your students to do, it would be to reach out to people in general. So many of you have heard this advice before, but encourage your students to go to office hours, check in with advisors. If they're thinking about becoming a biology major or a physics major or what have you, or a history major, as Alan was saying, another great resource is to schedule an appointment with the advisor in that department, the undergraduate advisor in that department. So as Alan was saying, they will sort of receive the baton pass as your student moves on into those majors, but there's no reason not to start talking with those people now.
Wonderful. Thank you both for sharing. I was going to talk a little bit about some of what's been answered in the chat related to sort of parents or family members or guardians and the interactions and the information that you might be receiving or not receiving. And then I'm going to queue up both Santos and Leanna and maybe even Gabi, if you feel comfortable, just talking about some of the questions that came in around room assignments and early arrivals, and so the room dimensions and laundry rooms and where to find out some of that. So I'll start with a little bit of information for our family members. And I'm seeing some questions around, are we going to be getting things emailed to us? Are we going to get written instructions? How are we to find out all of this information? And this is a big part of a transition to the university. And so I just want to name that it's really different than K through 12, because now that your student is a university student, all of the information, all of their grades, all of their health information, all of their courses, everything that they do at the university is now going to be communicated directly to them. And so this is a good time as you start to gear up for move-in week to start talking to your student about, how do you want to know this information? What is your communication going to look like? Do you want your student to forward you those emails? Do you want to be added to their portal? Do you want access, or are you going to expect that your student takes on the ownership of their educational career and journey from here on out? So it is a big transition, and we just encourage you to start to think about it. And that transition does start as early as move-in day. I know that was alluded to earlier, but really move-in day is also the day that you get to say goodbye and good luck to your student, because right away we start with some of these mandatory programs. We want your student to get to know their fellow roommates, their classmates, their floor mates, their building mates, and to get to know sort of what it's like in their new home, so that they understand and can start to dig into what they're going to be doing during their educational journey. And we do know from research that the more your student is involved and invested in their college experience, both inside and outside of the classroom, the more likely it is for them to persist to graduation. And so that's why we have this big emphasis on all of the programs and activities and the courses getting started right away during that welcome week, so that your student can get a sense and a flavor of what this experience is going to be like, so that they're ready to go for this very quick 10-week quarter that is ahead of them. And so we do have family welcomes and farewells for you. So both days of move-in from 3 to 5. We'd love for you to join us. And a lot of our staff will be there to answer questions and share information with you. But then at that point, we're really looking for you to say goodbye to your student. And again, I think Santos mentioned it in the chat, but really have a conversation with your student ahead of time. What are they expecting? What are you expecting? And what do you want that move-in period to look like, so that they can get right away invested? We also will be having a fall family weekend. So family, friends, supporters, guardians are going to be welcome back to campus. That's November 1st through 3rd. November 1st through 3rd. You can mark your calendars now. We'll be welcoming you back to campus. So if you want to join us for family weekend, and then we'll be offering more of these kinds of family gatherings. We like to do this throughout the year. So we'll do one again in the winter and likely the spring. So if there are other questions or things that you're finding that your student isn't able to share with you and you'd like to ask us, we make ourselves available. And then of course you can reach out to us at any time during the year. We welcome that information. We are bound by the Family and Federal Educational Rights to Privacy Act, which means that we keep your students' information private. But if you have questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to let us know, because what we can do is then take that information and then figure out the best way to get your student the right resources or point them in the right direction. Even if we can't tell you, okay, your student is just fine, I just saw them in the dining hall, right? We're able to at least go follow up with your student and make sure that they are doing okay. Of course, if we have their permission, then yes, we can speak with you freely. But I just wanted to mention a few of those things, because I think there's been some questions around, how are we going to get this information? And so that's why we do send things like postcards home to home addresses. But we also do have our website, our family websites that we do maintain throughout the year. So check that out too. It has all of our contact information also posted there. So if at any point you want to reach out to us, please do. So great. I queued up our Housing and Res Life team to talk a little bit about some of the questions that were coming in, and some of which have been addressed in the chat, but talking about, where can they find things like room dimensions, and how do those room assignments work, and how do they find the locations of their rooms and the laundry rooms, et cetera. So I'll turn it over to that team to kind of try to address some of those. And I know the what to bring, what not to bring website has already been linked in the chat as well. So Liana, Santos, or Gabi, go for it.
Liana, you want to go and I can support?
Yeah, I'll go first. So one of the things I'm seeing a lot of questions are about dimensions. And so I believe Gustavo has posted it in the chat as well. There's a website that they have all of the dimensions and pictures of the spaces that we have. I think that the quad is the last one that we don't quite have yet. And so we don't have pictures for that, but we do have pictures for all of our other spaces that your students would be moving into. Um, what were some of the other questions? Sorry, Sarah, I'm blinking.
No, that's great. I think one was about room assignments and sort of how that
Oh,
works. And so maybe you could also talk about room selection too in the future. So both what's happened, how did the room assignments happen for this year and can changes be made? But then also what to expect for room selection for this coming winter and spring for next year.
Sure. So on August 20th, they sent out a big communications email, and that's where your student should have got directed to go to their StarRez portal, their housing portal, where they could see what their room assignment was, who their roommates are. There was also information in that 820 email on how to select a move-in time for what that is going to look like as well. And so as far as it comes to relocations, we are a premium for space, which means we don't have a lot of wiggle room. And so our residential education team works really, really hard to have some of those difficult conversations that are things that you need to engage with when you're doing community living. And so based on that, we try to head off a lot of issues by having students really, really talk about what this space looks like and what it looks like to be roommates in that shared space as well. Um, and then after that, we usually wait a whole quarter. And then after that first quarter, between changes and transitions, there's usually a little bit more space. And so that is when the time we open it up and allow room changes to happen, but we usually kind of get through the fall quarter additionally. And then looking ahead to next year, one of the things we do is our housing application opens fairly early. And so that is because we want to give our students the most time that we can as they are looking for housing for next year. And so at this point, all students are eligible to participate in the housing draft for next year. And so from there, the best thing to do is to locate any roommates that you would like to have so that you can select exactly who you're living with. You get to apply to the community where you are hoping to live with your roommates. Just like there was a supplemental application, now we do have some supplemental applications for some of our themed communities as well. And then after that process is over, which I believe should be over at least by mid-February? Mid-February, that typically gives students enough time to figure out if they have a housing assignment and look for things off campus if they need another space off campus. And I think that should cover the bulk of it. Santos, do you have anything to add about shared living?
Everyone's going to learn so much. They're going to fail, parents, guardians, supporters. They're going to fail. They're going to struggle. They're going to text you and call you to say, please fix it. Please, Robin, I need you. I need you to do it. Call Santos. You talk to them during that meeting. They can fix it. And I'm going to be like, thank you so much for calling me. Here's what FERPA is. And so I don't know if we've gone over FERPA. I'm not going to go over it in super detail, but Sarah had alluded to it earlier that now that your students are with us and some of them being over the age of 18 or over the age of 18, there are particular rules and federal laws that apply to them as students of the university. And so if you're interested in learning or wanting to know more about that, and again, what Sarah was saying is I'll send it in the chat, but the FERPA release form is so important that you collaborate with your student if your student so chooses, right? That releases information to yourself as a guardian, a supporter, a person that is not the student, so then we can engage with you. But going back to Leanna's question, what is so important is that you encourage them to speak to each other and encourage them to speak to their resident assistant. The resident assistant lives on the floor. The coordinator for residential education lives in the community, and myself as the assistant director, I also live in the community. That doesn't mean that we're accessible 24/7. Don't tell your students that. But that does mean that we are here to support them, and we need them to make strides to support each other. This last year, like I said, I've been in this business for a lot of years. This last year, we saw what I would consider the most roommate conflicts and the most general conflict without any sort of address of said conflict. So by the time my team heard about it, they were already wanting to set each other on fire, which nobody did, thankfully. And so our hope and the communication here, right? I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but what I'm trying to get at is encouraging them to help themselves in resolving the conflict by employing different kind of resources on campus. We have so many different available, including the RA, but we have an ombuds office, we have the dean of students, we have care. There's so many resources to help get solutions to whatever needs they have. I'm going to shift a little bit. There's so many questions in the chat about when parents should leave and what kind of devices and surfboards, where do they go? And so I want to address specifically the appliances. And so I'm responding to Leti Marquez. Hi, Leti. I'm going to respond to you in terms of air fryers. Air fryers are actually not permitted in the residence halls because they're an open heat source and there's potential for fire. Cowell College specifically, we had a fire back in 2021. I was on call when it happened. Very exciting. And so we don't want to repeat that. We do have common microwaves, like in the dining hall, they have a microwave, and then microwaves are permitted, but air fryers or open heat sources are not permitted. In terms of when parents should leave, I'm obsessed because when I went to college, my parents were like, bye girl, and they did not come with me. And so I'm so excited that parents want to show up and they want to be here. And please check in with your student, right? If your student's like, please come to me to every single event, maybe we need to have a conversation about what it means to be in college and to separate, and we'll go with you to the event, but we're not going to stay. And there's other students who are like, I don't even remember your name, goodbye, and will never answer their phone when you call them. And so please, it's important before you even get here to establish what those expectations or what those boundaries for yourself and for your students are. What does it look like to text? What does it look like to call? Do we FaceTime? We have students that are in every part of the galaxy in terms of how they want to interact with their guardians or their supporters. And so I always recommend having those conversations before you even start driving to or flying or boating or whatever you're doing to Santa Cruz, because that's so important. The last thing that I will say is in terms of, I think that's it actually, unless there's other questions, Sarah, Leanna, anybody that I didn't get to. Like I said, I'm still responding to a couple things.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was going to have Gabi, if you don't mind. I know that there have been a couple of questions about laundry and then about dining. So I'm wondering if you can address some of those and maybe others that
I
highlighted for you.
I'd be glad to. I've been trying to keep up on the chat and I might not get to everything, but I wanted to let you all know that um, the housing.ucsc.edu website is a really great resource for information about um, calendar, when the quarter starts, when students need to leave during winter break because the campus shuts down in December. Their items can stay in the rooms, but they have to go. And during spring break, though, which is different than winter break, the students can come and go during spring break. But the dining halls are closed. So the housing.ucsc.edu website has the housing calendar, which gives you information about which is the last meal served at the end of the quarter, which is the first meal served. And please note that not every dining hall is open all the time. Dining.ucsc.edu will give you they have information about what is being served at which dining hall and which dining halls are open. About laundry, it is either through an app or through a debit credit card that you pay right on the machine. Each area has their own laundry facility. There are 2 locations for laundry at the Cal residence halls and 1 in the Cal apartments. And again, Stevenson Upper Quad has a laundry facility and Lower Quad has a laundry facility. They're welcome to use any of them. Like if one of them is full, they could go to the next nearest one. And what was the other question, Sarah?
I think you covered some of the laundry ones and then dining. I think there have been a number of different dining related questions, but I think you started to talk a little bit about that, right?
Yeah. And one of the other, there was also a question about billing student business services. And I added that link in one of the chats, is also a great place to understand the students' bills. I know that it's not hard to decipher, is what I hear from other parents. And so, not understanding how to read the students' account or bill is hopefully that website can give you information or you can reach out to talk to them. But there's also been a number of questions about financial aid and how to reach them. they have a Zoom drop-in and they have a phone also way to contact them. I'm sure they're going to be really busy, and I would say try the best way for you or try all the ways to get through to them. Same. And what else? Yeah, I'm here if there's another question.
Perfect. Thank you. I know we're getting close on time and there's still questions coming in, so we'll try to address some of those, both verbally but also in the chat. So thank you for all of your questions. And again, just to reiterate, we will be posting the recording of this as well as all of the references and resources that we suggested in the chat, as well as if there were questions submitted ahead of time that we haven't gotten to, we'll make sure that we get those addressed online as well. So there was sort of this question around bathrooms and showers and sort of what to expect with all of that. So either Santos or Gavi. Santos, do you want to start there and talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Number one recommendation, shower shoes, because our showers in the residence halls are common showers. So like traditional dorm style, they will be shared on just with the floor that they live on. And we have some single gender, some theme floors. And so we recommend that the floor you live on is the restroom you use. In terms of what to bring, I think anything that the student needs for care. I know my hair care routine is very robust, and so I would need all of my creams and my shampoos and conditioners, and do recommend that y'all bring some sort of caddy. In terms of things hanging in the restroom, there are not particularly specific hooks where things can hang, but if our students are interested in putting like a command hook on the wall, or as a community, like in their first community meeting with their RA, they're like, hey, I noticed that there's nowhere for me to put insert item they need for bathroom. Can we purchase maybe some floor or procure somehow some floor command hook thingies? Yeah, we love community engagement. We love community solution. But my number one recommendation, I see so many students who come to campus and they're like, should we or should we not use shower shoes? I'm like, you should always use shower shoes, because while these bathrooms are cleaned very regularly by our custodial team, you're also using showers for multiple people. So it's like using showers at the gym. We do have a basic needs pantry, not here in Cal and Stevenson, but on campus. And we also have what's called the Redwood Free Market. The Redwood Free Market, that's hard for me to say quickly, is a co-op sort of place where folks can go with an empty bottle and refill it with shampoo, conditioner, liquid soap, things like that as a resource. So if students are like, I can't buy new stuff, we have resources on campus for sure. Yeah. Oh, and then for the apartments, I didn't mention for the apartments communities, they all have bathrooms in the apartment. So depending on the configuration, I believe every apartment has one restroom, but some apartments may have two restrooms. But those are just for those that live inside the apartment. They're not shared with the entire floor.
Yeah, great. And a question just came in around bathrooms cleaned and the rooms cleaned. So I'll just address that quickly. Yes, the bathrooms are all cleaned on a regular basis every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And then they're stocked with extra things for over the weekend. All the hallways and sort of common areas of all of our residence halls, and if there are lounges, those are all cleaned weekly as well. But their bedrooms themselves, they're responsible for cleaning their own rooms. So that's something they're going to want to work out. And as Santos alluded to earlier, we spend a lot of time during Welcome Week really working with the students to create some roommate agreements or housemate agreements, living agreements, so that they can come up with what do those chores look like for everyone, so that everyone's contributing to that. And then we didn't talk about mail rooms. There've been a couple questions to me directly around like, can they get Amazon delivered? How do the mail rooms work? So all of our residential students will be issued a mailbox, and then they also get notified if they get a package. So just regular mail, business, cards, business letters, etc., magazines can all go into their mailbox, and they'll get a key to their own personal mailbox. There's one located at Stevenson, a mailroom, and then there's one at Cowell. And then they'll also be able to get emails for any sort of delivery. And we take all vendors deliver to campus, and that they get checked into our mailroom, and then they'll get an email saying, hey, you have a package, come during open hours to come get your package. So that's kind of how the mail rooms work. Gabi, I see your hand, and I recognize we're a few minutes over time, but thank you as we get these last few questions answered.
Just a clarification, a student's mailing address will be to a box located in a central mailing room for either Cal or Stevenson, which is different than where they're living. So their room number is never used as their mailing address. But students are also wanting to receive like Grubhub deliveries or other drop-off things. For that situation, we recommend that students meet the driver and pick up their delivery at the Cal Circle or the Stevenson Circle in some location because the drivers and delivery people are so confused trying to figure out their ways through all the buildings. So just to clarify about those three things. Thank you.
Yeah, and the mailing addresses, thank you, Gabi. That was really helpful. The mailing addresses are on our websites too. So you can see those now, and then they'll be assigned a certain box number. So you'll have to wait till they get that assignment email. It usually comes the week of move-in that they'll get assigned their actual box number. So the mailing addresses are there, but then you'll add that box number once you get that. So wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Hopefully, we tried to answer as many as we possibly could, both in the chat and verbally. So thank you for all of your questions. And for those that we didn't get to, no worries. We will try to answer those questions again online on our websites. Like I said before, we have all of our contact information, this video, all of the helpful resources and references that we talked about today will also be posted on those websites for you. So feel free to take a peek. And again, we just so appreciate all of you joining us this evening. We hope it's been informative for you, and so that you know we're here. Our jobs are really to support all of you through this big transition that your student is about to embark on, and to support your student's journey so that they can be successful at the university. And so we're thrilled to be in partnership with all of you and to be supporting your students as they join us at UC Santa Cruz. So again, thank you very much. Please reach out to us if you have any other questions. And again, we'll get this posted online for you as soon as possible. So good luck in your transition. Good luck in the last few weeks with your student as you transition to UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, and as folks are leaving, I want to mention a couple of other big things that we have going on. We have move-in volunteers. So if your student is interested in moving in early and they want to connect with our staff and be a part of the move-in squad, they'll get a free Boardwalk Frolic ticket. They'll get to move in early and get acclimated to their space, and they'll be some of the first people that the staff get to meet for that year. So that's really, really exciting. But when I talk about Boardwalk Frolic, you'd be like, what is that? So on a date that I cannot remember, but is very close to move-in, we shut the boardwalk down, and it's only for UCSC students. And so students will get a chance to go to the boardwalk and experience that for the day. And then the other big thing we have is called Cornucopia. It's going to be down on the field, very, very close to where we're going to be having our move-in session, but they send out all of the tables. So what you're imagining from like those college recruitment videos where you see each and every table for each and every group and club, that's our Cornucopia. And so that's where they'll get to meet all of the groups, clubs, organizations on campus. And so that's another huge event that students should look forward to as they're getting acclimated and they want to get in touch with and find a community here on campus. So Cornucopia, Boardwalk Frolic, and if you want to become a student staff member, kind of, join our volunteer squad, and you get to meet people as they are moving into campus. That's it.
Thanks, Leanna. Do you want to put a link or a reference to how folks can get to volunteer for the move-in squad if you have one?
I think Santos has already added one to the chat.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Great. We'll get that posted on our website too. All right. Well, wonderful all. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day, evening. We'll see you in September.
Bye. Which is like around the corner.
so soon.